It's time for another edition of Mets Musings.
Hi, this is Ron Darling. This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to Mets Musings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings. Yes, we have a lot of official things to announce. The boycott, or the lockout, I should say, of MLB players is official with the expiration of the CBA. So we have no baseball, but yet we had a lot of baseball before the lockout occurred, especially in Mets land, as the Mets went a little crazy as the wallet was opened and Uncle Stevie spending like a drunken sailor. But all good, all to help and better this team going into the 2022 season, if there is a 2022 season. Of course, the big signing was that signing of Max Scherzer. It is official. He met the press yesterday, and the Mets signed him to a 3-year deal worth $130 million. It contains an opt-out after the second season. The average annual value of roughly $43 million is the highest ever for an MLB player. It also includes a full no-trade clause, according to multiple reports. With the signing of Scherzer, the Mets are adding one of the best pitchers in baseball to a starting rotation that already features Jacob deGrom. It's something that Max Scherzer said he is looking forward to working with Jacob deGrom. Two number ones, this could be a great thing. And he said they should be able to do great things together. So the Mets add Max Scherzer, one of the top free agents. Yes, I know his age is against him, 37 years old. But if you listen to him, and I hope that a lot of people do go and check out the interview that he did yesterday during his introductory press conference. If you listen to him, and hopefully the young pitchers will listen to him as well. He has a work ethic, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly how his arm feel, how it should feel, where it should be at a certain time. Even explained the whole why he suffered arm fatigue in the postseason last year. Very interesting, and I suggest that instead of me trying to explain it, that you go listen to that interview. I'm sure it's on YouTube or one of the other sites, or on the Mets site, SNYTV. One of them, go listen to that interview. Very enlightening, and you get a taste of how his mind works as a pitcher, and maybe everybody should listen to that, especially the young pitchers. So Max Scherzer in the house, and a few hours after Max was announced, the Mets also announced the official signing of Eduardo Escobar, utility man and an all-star, that they acquired via free agency. As well as Starling Marte, their center fielder that they've been looking for, and Canha, another free agent they signed, all on Black Friday. So Mets went crazy a little bit, opening up the wallet, but all good acquisitions. Escobar gives them, he played over 100 innings last year, I believe, at first and second and third, 100 innings at each. So very versatile. He could plug in at third base. Canha gives them a power hitting outfielder who it looks like will probably be replacing Michael Conforto at this point in time. With the signing, with his signing, and Conforto looking for a multi-year contract. Who knows though? Because now nobody can sign with this lockout. So, and of course Scherzer places Thor or Stroman. More on that in a second. Um, And Starling Marte is the center fielder that's been looking to good speed, power, and a terrific defensive center fielder. So that'll move Nimmo to left. Canha probably will be in right and Marte in center. That will be your outfield for the most part next year. Unless more changes occur after the CBA is settled and signed and delivered, and we have baseball back on track again. But as of right now, the lockout is in effect and means the teams cannot talk to players or free agents at this time. So you will see no trades. No more signings until after this is resolved. However, in a strange way, the Mets could benefit by this lockout in that they were slightly behind. Even with signing free agents, amazing thing, they still don't have a manager or a coaching staff. And yet these guys are taking a chance on who's going to be there with them to help work with them and guide them. The lockout gives the Mets a chance to catch up with their front office. It gives Epler a chance to bring in people that he's familiar with, that he's comfortable with. Gives him a chance to hire a manager. Gives him a chance to hire staff for the manager, coaching staff. So it could be a good thing. It could hurt them in that once they have a manager and a coaching staff in place and they cannot contact the players to get, to build a foundation there between players and the manager and the coaches. So it's sort of half of one six, whatever the saying is. But so it could work for the Mets and could work against the Mets at the same time. But they are a little bit behind with that front office stuff, so I think it can't hurt but be an aid. Are we going to look at a big, long lockout? Who knows at this point in time? According to the commissioner, the players' union aren't willing to negotiate on anything. They came to the table with what they wanted, and were not very flexible. The owners made a couple of counter demands or counter proposals, and they were shot down almost immediately, and nothing was added to them. So we'll see. How are they going to get him back to the table? What could they possibly come up with? I don't know. They already suggested the universal DH, longer playoffs, and things along that line. But players want to change the whole free agent system. They want to change a number of things, and some might be good, and some might be not good towards the game. A couple of things doesn't sound like would not be good for the competitive balance of the game. They think it would be, the Players Association, but when you read it, it doesn't seem like it would be. But we'll have to see as we go on. We had another deadline before the CBA expired, and that was who you're going to tender contracts to and non-tender contracts to. And the club non-tendered Robert Giselman, as well as fellow right-hander Steve Nogasek and outfielder Mark Payton, clearing critical 40-man roster places, which they needed for the four guys that they signed. So Giselman is a free agent now. He could re-sign on a minor league deal, perhaps. Same thing with Nogasek and Payton. We'll have to see what the Mets decide to do and what the players decide to do at that point in time. The Mets also claimed the right-handed pitcher Antonio Santos off of waivers. He appeared in 7 games with the Rockies in 2021, going 0-1 with a 4.76 ERA, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts in 11 1/3 innings. The native of the Dominican Republic has appeared in 10 career games since making his major league debut with the Rockies in 2020. So looking to fill out spots, always something we're going to do. But all of that, as I said, has stopped and will continue to be stopped until the CBA is signed and agreed upon and negotiated and all of that stuff, and then signed, sealed, and delivered to us. And we wait and see at this point in time. But let's take a break and come back and discuss some other things right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get a PhD in life through baseball? Welcome to Baseball PhD, a tour company for your brain. 30 major league teams, 100 places to see. Let's touch them all as we make the road trip of a lifetime.
Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/MetsMusings, on Twitter at MetsMusingsGM, and the Instagram is MetsMusings, and on YouTube at MetsMusings Mack. Wish to be a part of the show? Give us a call at 516-619-6341. Okay, and we're back, and we Met fans can be a fickle bunch, and so why don't you let me know how you feel about these deals that the Mets have made so far, and what picks do you think the Mets should make for manager? The rumor mill is going there, and most of the rumors are about guys that Billy Epler, the new GM of the Mets, has had contact with or who have worked with before, and we'll go over a couple of them, but that's mostly who they're giving now. He said yesterday in the press conference announcing Scherzer that he had a list and groups of names and was going to discuss them with Steve Cohen, and either yesterday or as we record this today, they could be talking. So we'll see how that pans out, and I would imagine in the next few days, names are going to leak out. But some of the names that have been rumored already was, of course, Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter gets mentioned in any opening that comes out. And he has no known connection to Epler, but other names was Brad Ausmus, who worked with Epler in L.A. In fact, he hired him out there as manager. And Joe Espada, the Houston Astros bench coach, who's been interviewed and is on everybody's list apparently. And he worked with Epler when Epler was with the Yankees. There's some other names. Eric Chavez, I think, was another name that came up that Epler worked with and hired as an assistant in L.A. with the Angels. Ron Washington came up, and it's an interesting name. I thought he'd be off the board by now at this particular point in time, but so far nothing. So Ron Washington is still out there. He was the Atlanta Braves third base coach. He did manage the Texas Rangers and has a good record, good reputation with the players. He might be a good pick for the Mets. So those are a few names that are being bandied about right now. I'm sure we will hear some more names as the offseason progresses, and might be some guys that we've heard of and some guys we don't. Maybe Carlos Beltran's name gets thrown again into the mix. And, he was hired once by the Mets and then let go when the whole Astros cheating scandal thing came out, and his name was mentioned prominently in that, and rather unfairly, because he was the only player mentioned at that particular point in time, and it cost him a job, and it, I don't think it was necessarily a fair thing to do. I think the Mets should have stuck to their guns and stayed with him, but they decided not to, and I can't say that I blame him, but I didn't think it was the right thing to do. Mostly a PR move, I guess, to look good, but let's be a little rebellious now and then. And certainly they've showed that side so far this season with the free agent signings. So we'll see. Are the Mets done wheeling and dealing when they can again? Well, they are still looking for some more starting pitching. They could be looking for another bat. They could be looking for some more relief help, and that could all be taken care of. And they may use some young guys. They still have, let's not forget, their rotation now will be Scherzer, DeGrom, I guess Walker, Carrasco, and either McGill or Peterson. Or if I miss somebody, I apologize. Scherzer, DeGrom, Walker, Carrasco, McGill, Peterson for that fifth spot, or somebody else that they can bring in. As you know by now, that they have that Syndergaard, I think we reported this last week, signed with the Los Angeles Angels. Stroman is gone. Marcus Stroman signed with the Cubs for a 3-year deal, reportedly $71 million. And Baez signed with the Detroit Tigers. So the Mets lost 3, I guess you could say, key free agents. I don't know if I would exactly say that, but lost 3 guys but signed some good guys. And I think also, just to jump back to the signings, I think, look, I don't know. I'm not in the clubhouse, but I think it's a change of culture. I think when Baez came, he had a run-in with the fans right away. Stroman is always outspoken and may not have been the best influence or the best guy in the clubhouse. Syndergaard, who knows? He's been in and out for 2 years. So I would say with the guys got in, they seem to be much more even keel, much more uh, suited for New York, perhaps. You can't have thin skin and play here. And Stroman at times exhibited thin skin. He would get on players. He'd get on other people. He would get on some fans sometimes. So no doubt he could play here, but we don't know how the reaction in the clubhouse was. So you don't know how things shook up and what this change is going to do. Who knows? But it is a change, and it's a shake-up in the clubhouse. And we will see. Now with the departure of Baez, that opens up second base. It opens up second base for Escobar. It opens up second base for McNeil. It opens up second base for the return possibly of Cano if he comes back. If the CBA, when it gets settled, 90% I can almost guarantee it's going to have a universal DH in it. So I think Cano will probably slide into that slot. If the Mets don't release him, they might decide to pay him his money and release him. Or if he doesn't pass another drug test. But let's say he passes all the tests and the Mets keep him. So where are you going to play him? Well, the universal DH is the most. Throw him in second once in a while. But it would make the most sense to have him DH 90% of the time. You can also move Alonso in there once in a while to give him a day off if you don't, from the field, and give Dom Smith a game or two at first base if Dom Smith is going to be here. Same thing with McNeil. Will McNeil be here? McNeil had the problem with Lindor last year. They had that little shoving match. There was no rat or raccoon or whatever, the squirrel, whatever the argument was. There was nothing like that. It went deeper than that. And there's a dislike there between Lindor and McNeil. Can they play together? Sure they can. Can they play well together? Without a doubt. The question is, what goes on in the clubhouse? If the Mets aren't happy with that combination, they can make that deal. Perhaps McNeil gets traded. Perhaps Dom Smith gets traded, because now there's not going to be a lot of playing time for him. With the acquisition of Canha and Marte, as I said earlier, that's going to move Nimmo to left field. That cuts down on Smith's appearances in left field. Now you always need extra outfielders. So, and Beanie does play first base. He could flop between the two, but right now looks like it would cut into his playing time. Same thing with J.D. Davis. If you look at Escobar playing third base, that could cut into and Nimmo in left field again, and Smith in left field. Where does that leave J.D. Davis? He could be on the trade block as well. There are rumors that the Mets are interested in Chris Bryant, who can play left field and play third base and play some first base. So if they were to pursue Chris Bryant and sign him, that cuts more into the playing time of possibly McNeil, possibly J.D. Davis and Smith, and or I said Davis, and Dom Smith. So a lot of calculations going on now that these guys that they signed are in place. Maybe Epler, he's only been here like 2 weeks and he made 4 signings already. So it's been a it's been a roller coaster ride for him. Now maybe he gets a chance to settle down, look a little bit deeper at the team now, looks at the roster, can plug people into places. On the infield, Alonso and Lindor that's it. They're solid right there. First and short. Second and third, you still got question marks. But you have the bodies and the players to move into different spots. Escobar could go into third. McNeil, Cano can play second. Guillorme is still with this team. He could play second. He could play short. He could play third. He's going to be valuable because he can play shortstop as well. Escobar can play shortstop but hasn't played it in a few years. So he could play it in an emergency, but I think he'd be better off with a guy like keeping a guy like Guillorme around. So a lot of question marks and a lot of things to be answered, but we'll get no answers until after the CBA is signed. So it's going to be a wait and see thing. And, the next things is going to be managers and a coaching staff. I am positive that's what they're going to work on now. And I'm also positive that they will work on potential free agents still out there that they may want to sign at different levels. They could sign some lower level free agents to fill in bullpen or maybe, another outfielder or even just to fill out some spots at Syracuse or wherever they may need, the minor league free agents. I'm sure they'll look very closely now and pay a lot of attention to the minor leagues, especially, some of the guys that are getting there, like Vientos and Batty and Maurizio and Alvarez. They'll be looking at those guys intently as they can right now. It's just the major league players. So it is a time of study now for Epler, but it's a time of hiring as well, as he'll be looking to hire for manager and the coaching staff. So it's going to be a very interesting time. With the holidays coming up, still not sure of a schedule yet for Mets Musings. We usually a weekly show. Got a little off of that sometimes during this season at the end and the beginning of the off season. But it is a weekly show. We try to do a weekly show, especially during the season. But with the holidays coming up and now with the CBA, may not be much to report. So we'll play. We're gonna play it by ear. So that's what I'm gonna do. And what I ask you to do is to, if you watch the show on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button. That makes the YouTube people happy, makes me happy, and the subscribe button, by subscribing, you'll always know when another edition of the podcast is coming out. Same thing with the audio version. If you listen to the audio version and you listen on Apple Podcasts or Google Play or wherever you get your podcast from, you can hit the subscribe button. Hit a subscribe button and you will get notified, if you have your notifications on, when a new episode of Mets Musings will be released. If not, just keep checking our Facebook page at facebook.com Mets Musings. It's a group. Or you can just type in the search bar, type in Mets Musings. It should come up. It's one word. So I think it's one word in there. And you'll be able to follow us that way as well. And I want to thank you all for your patience and your listenership, if that's a word. Thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. And, I will be back before Christmas. I'm just not sure how often it's going to be. But remember, until the next time we're together, remember to keep the faith, stay optimistic, and remember to let's go Mets. And I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.